Okay, let me see. I can slideshow. Okay, does everyone see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So, um, use this one. Medical Communications 101. How do I move this? Maybe click it. Okay. This is our medical school building. This is our campus, downtown campus. So I've structured this lecture into three parts. One, communication with patient. Remember, this is medical communications lecture. And then communication with your colleagues, coworkers in this medical field. And then communication between mentor, mentee, more in a lab set. So I learned all these lessons hard way during my path here. So I was more used to South Korean way of communication, and I came here and did my MPH MBA. There was a lot of discussion classes. The right upper part is my MBA MPH cohort um, with very diverse background. And then I was a house officer at Albert Einstein, and did my fellowship at MD Anderson, Texas. Uh, and I also was working a lot in collaboration, different people from different lab. I'm still the PI of a lot of NCI SWOG trials. And we also, in order to increase uh, effective communication and build encouragement culture, we founded NGO called Pacemakers. Okay, so communication with patient. These are the tips that I want to talk about. Number one, before going into patient rooms, plan your message. This is what I'm going to tell the patient. You can't just uh, uh, try to think about what you want to do inside the room. You have to have a clear goal and message. Acknowledge their presence. Ask their names. How do you want me to call you? I always ask them, because even if it says Michael, just like, call me just Mike. He said, oh, just call me Dr. So-and-so. I'm a PhD. Like, call me doctor. You and then you have to ask relationship. Once I saw someone looked like son, I assumed it was son. No, it was his, partner. And patient referred to not himself, herself. It's male, but had the female identity. So unless you ask, you cannot assume anything. Okay. Never assume. Give them heads up. Like, today we're going to have Q&A session. Today we're going to talk about why we need adjuvant chemotherapy, so that they know what to expect. It is more than an information session. It's time to exchange emotions. Like, I'm so happy that the scan is so good. And tell me about your concerns, how you felt. So it's not just remember, it's not just information session. It's about emotions too. Be succinct and clear. Do not talk fast. Make it so clear that they will walk out knowing exactly what to do. I allow them to record, write down, have family member come in, or they join through the Zoom or Google Meet, whatever, and appreciate their emotion. Thank you for telling me your thoughts and how you feel. Encourage their efforts. Thank you for coming. I know it's very, it's not easy to just come here on regular basis. Be really attentive with close eye contact. Like if you say all things and you're looking at screen, you're looking at other things, you know, it doesn't work. And once you're done, always summarize your meeting for them. So this is what I'm gonna do. What we are gonna do. Number one, we're gonna get PET scan and MRI. Number two, so that they know exactly what's going to happen. So I think empathy is really important, cornerstone of your communication with patient. Will the empathy grow by undergoing difficulties? So Harvard Business Review had a special section on empathy, and it said, and you would think that people who has undergone similar things would know better, like, and be able to comfort you and just encourage you more. It's usually the opposite. Well, I've done it. Why can't you do it? You know what I mean? Like, I know it's hard, but don't complain about it. I've done it. Most people have done it. Uh, at in fact, when I was your stage, it wasn't even harder. Uh, in Korean, it's called konde, and kondes don't empathize usually. They push you harder. So empathy and actually you yourself undergoing that uh experience, they don't correlate. So that's a myth. Okay. So, but how do you develop empathy then? You need to have a genuine heart that you want to understand that person and help that person. Or you might have read a lot of self-help books, communication books. Now, a lot of it will give you skill set. And that, to me, that's just a lip service. Oh, I know what you're going through. And your face doesn't show it. That's a lip service. Like you learn the skills, but in your heart, deep inside of your heart, you have no intention to really empathize with that person and love that person. So this eye-opening moment comes when you see a patient and they come to you as another human being, not an object of your medical care. And then you empathize, you feel sorry for them, you really want to go extra mile to help them as a human being and so as a friend. So that's when empathy will grow. And to me, really patient interaction is letting them know this is time to be joyous, celebrate. You have beautiful scan. This is an amazing scan. And or even if there's no scan, you are tolerating the medication so well. I am so happy for you. This is time to rejoice together. Uh, and if patient is really having hard time, don't just prescribe medication, prescribe a memorable trip with their family. It's okay to go on a trip. Enjoy your life. Don't be so fixated on making chemotherapy schedule perfect. And never use the metaphor war. I'm a trooper, I'm gonna fight this, I'm gonna win this war. The fact is most people will die of cancer and they're victims then. They are defeated by cancer. No, this is journey. We will die of something one way or other, and this is a given precious time. And how you plan your journey is so important. In fact, one of my mentors said, I'd rather die of cancer than stroke, dementia, something else, because cancer, usually you have time to say goodbye and do things. Car accident, you usually don't. Most people grieve the sudden death, and that's harder. Uh, and then it's all about companionship. I like to communicate with my patients that I tell them we're in this together. You are not alone. So here, 100% attention is really valuable. I like to hug them as much as possible. Nonverbal language is important. Hope there is no legal percussions. I hope you do better. No one's going to find fault. I hope, but it means so much to the patient. Like so a lot of I found this very alarming and disappointing, but a lot of patients find it very distressing or stressful to think that my doctor assumes that I will die in the next 6 months. Doctors never convey that message, but they convey information. but they interpret that as hope. And then, compliment, just you're doing a great job. You'll do great. You are doing great. My patient came to me and said, Doctor, can you just tell me the same thing you told me on your last visit? I said, what is it? What did I tell you? You said I'm going to do great. And for them, that's the sentence they will be holding on to for the next few weeks. And then always say thank you, appreciate all your effort and trust. We would think it's opposite. Patient would, should thank doctors. No, we should thank them as well. And this is a word of gratitude I received from a high school student who came to shadow me. And it's their whole family. Outstanding leadership, kindness, demonstration of exemplary character to shadowing student and inspiring physicians. So, well, this was kind of mind-blowing. A high school student giving me an award. Uh, so this sort of gave me an idea to start an award-giving ceremony to my mentees or my patients. One of the things that I remember is there's a patient who said, I want to have celebration life, not celebration of death. A funeral, all the people who once loved me will come, but I'm not going to be there to greet them. So how sad is it? So I'm going to have funeral eve when I'm still alive. I'm going to invite them. I'm going to pay for all their airfares, and we're going to have party. We're going to have a celebration of life that God has allowed her to come this far, and blessed her with this relationship. So she'll call it celebration of life, funeral eve. What a brilliant idea, right? And then milestone. We used to celebrate milestones like therapy is completed. Woohoo! 4 cycle is done. Let's celebrate. But God, through this one patient, told me, you know, um, I just felt like he was telling me, you are still brainwashed with the culture of success. And really, if there's no success, there's nothing to celebrate. No, you have to celebrate the attitude, the spirit of persistence, endurance. Celebrate the smile, not the good scans, not the completion of so and so therapy. So I repented. I'm sorry. From now on, I will celebrate their presence, their attitude, who they are. And we made awards of Best Smile Award. Here's the milestone award that we were doing. We would also root for our patients, sometimes making our chemo room into a Disney World picture place. And the positivity and strength award for our patient, against all odds award. And this came from one of the observer. And he said, Dr. Chae, why don't you make a best caregiver award? And since then we would award spouses or daughters who were just really showing full support for their family members. And then healthcare team knows, much better what they have gone through. So this appreciation coming from us, healthcare team, really means a lot to them. And then the last but not the least, the family round is, how I communicate with family members of cancer patients who suffered loss. So I would call them and I just call to hear your voice. I cherish the moments that we had together with the deceased patient. We write condolence cards to deceased patient family members. So rejoicing and grieving together, I think is the key. And what do we grieve? Grieve losses, but cherish legacies. And really, proof of love is what our emotions of joy and grief. I once thought oncology is so gloomy and it's just a lot of my colleagues or my graduating class, they weren't interested in oncology because it's so sad. A few months pass by, your clinic pool is all changed because they die. People who observe with me in my clinic ask me, oh, like, how's that patient doing? And a lot of times I said, oh, that patient is dead. You know, it's sad. It's sad. And sometimes you burn out just being in clinic. But I believe if you have that heart-to-heart communication connection, you can still thrive in what you do. So for me, clinic is actually place of healing where I interact with my patient in a genuine way and learn humility. Life is not going to last forever. I learned that lesson almost every day. Clinic is where emotions are communicated. And when I had the privilege to pray for a patient who was going to hospice, and at that moment, I don't know, but God just poured that heart of compassion in me. I just couldn't help but crying during my prayer, and listening to my prayer. Got that patient who was so frustrated at least actually told me that I am the happiest person in the world. I have doctors who are crying for me. And God also gave me courage to say I love you to patients who are at the borderline of life and death. And that to me is a genuine interaction, the communication that I would never have imagined that I would reach. So I just want to talk to you about the genuine heart. And I wrote about that in Chicago Tribune, and you can read this article when you have time. And we are doing the pacemaker movement to really spread this culture of genuine communication between healthcare providers and patient and their family members. And these are our YouTube videos and website. And these are the award ceremony pictures. And now I will move on to communication with your colleagues, coworkers, or your student, your friends. So when you communicate, always appreciate their call. Thank you for seeing my patient. Thank you for your effort. And then you have to also ask them, how do you want me to, call you? Some I've seen MZ generations like, hey, hi guys, and I'll talk to, when I, refrain from using those colloquial languages. It's some attendings really hate it. Be very formal and very polite. Still, medical college, medical field, you should show the utmost respect when you communicate with your colleagues. Introduce yourself and your role. Timely response is a vital virtue. It's necessary. Patients cannot wait. If you got a pager, it's ringing, you respond, okay? I know you can't do it right at the moment, but it's so important. Patient cannot wait. They're in the CT scan suite and waiting for your instruction. Should we give contrast or not? Patient cannot wait hours. You're getting a call because they need your response. And consequence of delay in care, negligence, is tangible. And you will be assessed by the way you respond to these messages. So people who are trained this way, who've done their residency, fellowship, are so used to this way of communication that we just, come to the other side of the world where just pure academia and research, where this type of timely response is not there. Some people just are in shock because we're so used to this timely response culture. We text someone, we expect a timely response. And if the timely response doesn't happen, there's a committee for trainees, and we assess them. And if we give 3 warnings, and then if it's just not showing it, we don't see any improvement, 3 times strikeout. Now, I've had my coworkers, co-residents, who are like, oh, why are you coming late 2 rounds, like, oh, I overslept. Happens 3 times, you're out of the program. Okay. We can understand one time. uh, because the direct consequence of you being negligent, on patient care is patient gets worse. Their symptoms will get worse. And that's not what they deserve the best care they need. And if it's your malfunctioning in communication, we cannot let patients suffer. So timely response in medical field is a must. It's not something good to have. So I want to emphasize that. Um, and I think the worst reputation or is, oh, that person is usually late in responding to my message. Like if you are that person, oh, um, it's 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 gonna ruin your career. I can guarantee you that. Your colleagues will stop referring patients to you. You will lose trust. People will start to see you as an irresponsible provider. Uh, and you can say, oh, I'm so overwhelmed. So many messages come to me. I don't know how to respond to them. So my tip to you is triage. Okay. If there is an emergency patient, you have to run to see that patient. You have to triage. No one will blame you for doing something more important and being late. Okay. Triage, prioritize, and respond and let them know you got the message. Oh, I have to, because I have to run and do these things first, I will get back to that patient in next 1 hour, 30 minutes. Or you tell them the plan. Find a coverage patient, doctor who can, go in my place. I need to respond to this situation first. So do your best to tell them you got the message, because the best complaint is, the most common complaint is, why didn't no he never respond? Well, respond, say, I got your message. I will get back to you, in next 30 minutes, 1 hour. This is the key in communication. And this is not just in medical, but this is in any situation. Tell them you're a good communicator by responding that you saw the message. Okay. Clarify your role, expectation, deadline. Like, I will do this by this deadline. You cannot just say, I'll do it soon, and your soon for them may feel like few months. You lose credibility that way. I cannot do this. I'm on vacation. I can only get to it in next 2 weeks. Just don't say I'll do it. That's very responsible. Be clear. I'm going to do only this part, but this part I'm not involved. So this part you have to call consults. Okay. And if it's in clinical trial, it's patient care. Remember, clinical trial is research and patient care. Patient care comes first. Everything related to clinical trial is priority. What I cannot tolerate is someone who's doing like hypothesis finding research that has no direct impact on patient care, spend more time there, we're prioritizing that. I cannot tolerate that behavior, because patient care comes first. Clinical trial is where research and patient care overlaps. And if you're late in opening clinical trials, they won't get that benefit. Okay. If you publish paper late, most people who can get benefit by doctors reading that paper, citing that paper, getting the drug for that based on that citation, that's not going to happen because of your negligence. Okay. So anything about clinical trial takes priority. Patient care clinical trial and is really important. But if you're out, you can't do it, make sure you know who's covering you. You can't say, oh, I cannot be reached. No, you have to have a plan. If you're doing a project saying during this time, this person will be my coverage, and that person will be in charge of communicating with the bigger team. So when you go on a vacation without a plan, that's being very irresponsible. Everything has to be planned out, that who's covering for you. Okay. That's why collaboration is so important, that you need to look out for each other. Update your discussion with your patient or other consultant on a regular basis. That's why writing note is really important. Sometimes every interested group, CC them all in your email and say that this is what patient actually decided to go to hospice. That's a decision everyone should know. You can't just, well, they'll find out when they talk to the patient. No, update them real time, okay? This is so important, guys. All right, show respect. Do not gossip. Be genuine in your communication and always with expressing gratitude. Make sure they know how to get hold of you or your coverage fast. Cell phone, pager, email. Tell them what your preference is. I like to give them my cell phone. Like, to everybody who's involved in my patient care, I said, I don't care. You can call me, text me anytime. I want to be the first one to know about what's happening to my patient. I take the full responsibility. Don't feel sorry if you have to text me in the middle of the night or whatever. If you need my help, I'm there 24/7. That's my style. That's my personal style. I'm not telling you you should do it. If you don't want to be interrupted, you tell them who's your coverage. Don't wake me in the middle of the night. I even tell them during vacation, I'd rather respond. Like, even if I'm in South Korea, I would just literally call my patients, because patient want to make decision whether going to hospice or not, and they want to talk to their oncology. But I'm in South Korea. What do I do? Would the covering oncologist make that decision for me? No, I want to be involved. That's my personal style. So I would rather call my patient in the US and to have that discussion over the phone, even during my vacation time. I feel more comfortable that I do it. Maybe I'm workaholic. I don't know, but I that's my style. But you have to be clear who's covering you, and that there will not be a gap in patient care. And document. I was involved in many lawsuits here in Northwestern. Um, we are human, we make errors, and I have patients who are threatening that they are going to sue me. So I live under this pressure, and it's no joke. And you have to document. You can't just rely on, oh, I did that, and like there's no documentation of you having that conversation. It's it's not a good practice. So communication skill, documentation skill is really the key. Okay, I will move on to communication between mentor-mentee. This is more of in academia setting and research setting. So number one, mutual trust. I tell this to every mentor-mentees. This relationship is built on mutual trust. Mentors will provide support and guidance as long as there's a clear sense of trust and followership from the mentees. Mentees will collaborate with mentees as long as there's a clear sense of trust, support, and leadership from the mentees. I will support you no matter what. I will be there for you. I will teach you. Those are the clear messages you need to hear from your mentor. If that's not what you hear, and some mentors don't know you're in the lab, you don't know your presence, your dedication, there's no appreciation, then it's hard to be in that lab, okay? Communal effort. It has to be communal effort, mutual effort. The counter example, I've heard testimonies of people suffering from mistrust, misunderstanding, gossip, culture of gossip. I hate gossip. It destroys the organization. Threatening, blackmailing. I've heard student who was in East Coast, mentor threatening, blackmailing. If you stay one more year, I will write you a letter of recommendation. On the last day of application, and that's to me pretty hardcore blackmailing. And just not keeping the promises. There's a manipulation, gaslighting that leads to depression, frustration, fault finding, blaming, criticizing each other, and then you end up I don't trust anybody anymore. Cynicism. You help that person just because that person shares same ethnicity or religion or same hobby, whatever that is, you see that happening, it burns that bridge. It really injures mutual trust, and results in anger. So there's a lot of counterexample, but this is something you have to work together, build that trust. And I think I want to emphasize that above everything else, then assess your priority. To me, you can work for a company and you get paid for what you do, and you might not have any mentor. It's just the system that just, oh, I'm in charge today. You might not have that constant mentorship. And that's actually more common in many workplaces. But if you have mentor-mentee relationship, I think what you need is mentor are really invested in the success of mentee. Not because they are paid, they have no obligation to mentor you, by the way, okay? If someone says, I'm happy to mentor you, that means that's voluntary act. That's out of mutual trust. So to me, Matthew 20 talks about parable of workers in the vineyard. And for the owner of the vineyard, his primary interest was not producing a good quality grapes, okay? His interest is, how do I support workers? Okay. And I think that's the essence of my lab's spirit. Like, I want to do a project that helps my patients. However, equally important or more importantly, I want to help my mentees grow in their character, in their research potential, in their love for patients. And that's the main reason I run my lab. So success of my mentee is more important to me than the success of each projects. I'm genuinely interested in your success. This is what you need to hear from your mentor. The experience of mentorship has to be pleasant and an inspiring one. If it's something that drains you, get out of that toxic relationship, okay? That's why it's a mutual thing. A mentor who's really good for one person may not be the right mentor for some. It's like marriage. Like one person can be really, really good person, and there's no objective wrong thing. But your personalities just don't match together. Maybe it's not a right fit. But again, it's a mutual thing. Marriage is like a little different because you are going to meet so many different personalities in your life, and that mentor-mentee relationship will have a personality that you will have to work out. So I want to say, but what you need to make sure there is, you have to make sure there is that priority. Yes, my mentor actually thinks about my career over any project. That my mentor does not think of me as a part of just a part of a project that I can really be replaced by anyone. So to me, education is a mission that has a ripple effect. The fruit of the apple tree is not apple, but more apple trees. You don't have the wildest guess or imagination. You can't really imagine the number of the trees that will come out of one apple tree, right? So that's what keeps me going. That's why I'm giving you guys this lecture. I went to bed after 2 a.m. just making these slides to making sure that I want to make I have the message that it will benefit you guys, and that you guys would grow up as a effective and genuine communicators. All right, so the basic communication rules are here. Agree on expectation. Don't come back and this is what not what you promised. Do not commit unless you can agree. Talk about this. If I do this project, how am I going to get credit? You have to discuss that. You have to have that expectation. Do not assume. Maybe your expectation is not a name in the paper, but just having that experience would suffice. You don't know until you talk to your mentor and mentee. So be clear on your expectation, on your, time coming, your working days, working hours. If you cannot meet their expectation, be clear, communicate in advance that why you are not able to meet that expectation, and it could be a reasonable one, then that's fine. Do not assume, always ask them. The worst mistakes comes out when you assume things. This is my lesson I learned over and over. Like, oh, I assumed that this is what your preference is. I assumed that you won't be pleased with this. No, no. Ask. Do not talk behind the back. You're shooting yourself. The culture of criticizing, culture of blaming, culture of finding faults, we all are different. So people will disagree on many things, on policy. Uh, but if you go to medical school, you might not be happy with their schedule, your hours, but the fact that you're there and you work within the medical school setting tells me that you are agreeing to follow the rules. If you don't like the policy, if you don't like the communication that's happening, you can always opt out of that working environment. Okay? Being in the environment means that you are trying to work out that relationship, that working environment in a way that is not talking behind the back, in a way that you address it in an open space. Okay? Whoever that person is, that, it could be doctor to doctor, nurse to nurse, doctor and nurse, clinical trial coordinator, and another NP, PI, and a medical PhD student. You have to work it out. And do not gossip. If it's not about you, do not talk about the matter if you're neither part of the problem itself or the part of the solution. And you either talk about the menu or you are on the menu. You become the menu. So people have this fear of missing out. We call it FOMO. And it's hilarious. Like, some people like gossip just to survive. Like, if I don't gossip, I'm gonna become the menu of the gossip. So I'd rather be proactive in gossiping. I've heard this culture. I've saw this culture, very toxic culture. 3 golden rules here. If you can't not remember anything about this lecture, I want you to remember this. 3 golden rules in communication. Before you say it, is this true? Is this just a rumor? Is this true or not? And is this necessary? Is this necessary for this, our mutual benefit? Is this just a necessary conversation? And is this kind? Is this really kind words that will edify people around me? So filter your lip with this 3 questions before you say anything. And this is practiced by many Israelites. And again, I cannot emphasize timely response enough. My personal rule, if someone does not respond with like 24-hour rule, working hour, I think you have to respond ASAP. You're working and you need to communicate with your coworkers, your mentors, otherwise things will not move on. It just shows you that you're not working in your working hours. Non-working hours, you're not expected to work in that no working hours, so it's fine. But at least it's courtesy. If someone asks you a question, you can say, "Oh, I'm on vacation. Like, I'll get back to you on Monday." If you don't say anything, that's ignorance. That's irresponsible. That's immaturity. Some people say, "Oh, I just don't know how to respond in the situation." That's called immaturity. You have to learn, and once you learn, then you adapt and grow. I don't in the funeral, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to comfort that person. It's okay. Just go and look at them and pat them on their back, or I just want to come and be with you. You learn what to say. So no response cannot be excuse for anything. So people understand medical emergency. You are admitted in the hospital. No one will blame you for that. You had your family member passed away, you had to flew back to your country. It's not even an excuse. People understand that, but what people don't understand, if there's no right reason and you don't reply in the next 24 hours, people will start think that there's a problem in this person's communication pattern. So I want my mentees to be an effective communicator. That's why I'm telling you all this. There was a great mentor who's ADHD. So every time he gets message, he replies right back because of his ADHD. He forgets. You get absorbed in other things, so you forget to respond. So I would just respond right away. And when I was in MD Anderson, there was a mentee who would always brag. You know what? If I message my mentor, he usually gets back in 10 minutes. My mentor usually gets back within 1 hour, and that's my pride. Like, I work with very responsive mentor. Like, how about you guys? My mentor usually don't read my email or usually don't respond. And that's common. That's common. But if mentee doesn't respond to mentors text messaging or email, that shows mentors usually take that sign as this mentee is not interested in working with me. And then there will be no next good project. There will be no good feedback. There will be only negative feedback for that mentee. So I want you to know that being effective communicator is the key to success in your relationship. Work-life balance is really important. Respect their personal boundaries. Respect vacation. I always tell my nurses, family comes first. I will cover you when you need help. Just don't hesitate to tell me when you have health crisis, when your family member has a health crisis, when you need help. I will step up and cover for you. I think this is really important, that we support each other. We are one team. Express mutual commitment, appreciate the relationship. I'm so happy that I'm working with you. My nurse practitioner said, working with you in the last 1 year has been the best part of my life. I feel like I grew the most. Those words just keep me alive. And in a warm conversation, kind words saves your day. Okay. So keep on complimenting each other, appreciate. Mentors are lonely people. Okay. Mentors need acknowledgement and positive feedback. Be specific in your praise. Oh, I like you. I think I'm happy. Thank you for everything. What is that everything? Thank you for your, leadership, the way you treat me, the way you show me things, way you make me participate all these things and give me opportunity. And be specific about what opportunity. Don't be vague about complimenting each other. Mentor-mentee relationship. Nonverbal language is so important. You might say one thing in your email and your text. Make sure in your eye contact, facial expression, gesture, the stance, that you are supportive, that you are supporting this relationship. Make sure that your voice tone, everything matches, your communication, the appreciation, everything. The mentors will lead and endorse mentees throughout their career courses. I get so many emails, calls about my mentees. They go to their next step, postdoc, research position, wherever they apply, because they see publication. I'm the corresponding author in a lot of publications that they published together in my lab, or whatever they did. I wrote them, I endorsed them. I said, this person is a team player. This person really knows how to work together and collaborate with each other. You know what? A lot of people are, there's so many impressive CVs, good, like research activities. What they're really interested in, like, you working with this mentee, do you really enjoyed experience? Was this person really a good communicator? Is this someone you can talk and really feel good about, working together? Collegial, was that experience mutually beneficial? They ask me these questions, like program directors call me. I think it's so important that the relationship, you're building relations. Some people think, oh, I wrote this paper with this mentee, bye-bye, I don't need you anymore in my life. I'm done sucking up with this project and this thing, and it doesn't work like that. Sometimes I had to have like 1 hour conversation asking me about a mentee and different job roles. Sometimes they make me to write another recommendation or fill out a form that takes me another 30 minutes to an hour just to endorse that. So mentors feel that tremendous burden, and how many students are going through my lab, and I do this out of good heart. I want to endorse. This is my joy to help my mentees. But the other thing is I cannot lie, right? I mean, if I lie and I vouch for a person who is dishonest, I'm ruining that organization who's doing a new hire, right? So I have to make sure that a mentee-mentor relationship is built on a mutual trust and not dishonesty, right? So mentors, this is mentors part, and I'm talking in general, and mentees will appreciate and support mentors in various capacities. I, once mentees know that this relationship is genuine and is of mutual benefit, my mentees would, invite me over and over to the conferences they're chairing, they're organizing. That's why I went to Brazil 4 times, Sao Paulo, Rio, uh, and um, and I would just go and teach them more, and they would appreciate my participation in those academic meetings. So it's something that enriches both of their lives, and then more opportunities will come out of this wonderful relationship, mentor-mentee relationship. So I like to trust more on mentor-mentee relationship than anything else. Of course, they have different characters, different communication styles, so you will have conflict. So how do you resolve that conflict? Transparent communication. Do not hide, okay? Talk about expectation, how you're going to get credit, what's the rule, what's the requirement, what essence of the problem is. Talk about it, okay? Do not just suck it up and it's adults to adults. We're not talking about kindergarten students. You're not an undergrad, undergrad high school students are a little bit different teachers, because it's more like, oh, you're immature, I'm mature, like you need to grow up. No, we're talking adults to adults. And this has to be mutual, based on mutual respect. Most conflicts can be resolved via mutual understanding. Now, I'll say this is rare, but if crime is involved, like if you're being sexually harassed, I've seen these cases. If there's dishonesty, if there's cheating involved, there has to be a consequence. If, I hate the notion that, the Christians would look out for each other. No, I think if you're Christian, you have to be more strict on making sure there's a consequence or the lessons that needs to be learned, that there is an investigation and disciplinary action and consequences for all these dishonest or whatever that is ongoing. We need to find out what's going on and make sure that the justice happens. And through this lesson, I believe the person will become a better one. Okay. So it's not like overlooking crime. Never, never. You need to love each other, respect each other, but it's also hating sin and not hating person. And then during this process, do not lose your self-control, respect for other. I've seen this happen. I worked in a lab at Johns Hopkins where there's a lot of yelling between coworkers, mentors, mentees. There was a lot of yelling, crying, blaming, emotionally draining as a result. I've seen people leaving academia, leaving research. Oh my God, I don't want to be part of this emotional roller coaster, draining. Like I thought I was get this credit, I didn't. I felt betrayed, and felt depressed, and that person is starting to take depression pills. So I've seen it. I witnessed it all. Just being in a lab setting at Johns Hopkins, and in many other places. So this is when you lose self-control, respect for each other, and just go down in that vicious cycle. So this conflict resolution is so important. Sometimes you just meet evil people, and if you think that person is evil, get out of it. Okay. If you have done investigation, you ask so many people and just say all you're hearing is that person's evil. You don't want to be, around evil person that would just suck out, uh, everything from you and use you, manipulate you. Get out of that toxic relationship. Okay. There's nothing to be resolved if that's happening. But usually in relationship that they have. So what I value most, my nurses and nurse practitioners had huge fight. I don't want to work with you anymore. And I'm the mediator. like I and this is real thing that happened to me. I bring them and I say, do you want to quit, or do you want to work out this relationship? Do you want to quit, or do you want to work out this relationship? If the answer is yes for both sides, we're gonna work out this relationship. If answer is I want to quit, we cannot coexist. I'm so offended. That person is evil. Uh, you know, no matter what you do to mediate their relationship, it's usually not going to happen. So I know we can be awkward in our social skills and misunderstanding, but if you're willing to understand the essence that we both, the bottom of the issue is if you want to work out the relationship, if the essence is that I know it's really hard, but I still want to work out this relationship, then it's going to happen. So to me, what's important is your willingness to work it out. Then there is conflict resolution. So conflict over who gets what credit is not uncommon. I've gone through it. So do not talk behind PI. I've had my students who fight over authorship. Like, I'm gonna be the first author. And then they fight and they become in bad terms, and they never discuss it with me. You know what I mean? I think that's so shocking to me. So my stance is I'm always willing to discuss. I'm open to new suggestions about authorship, credit. Lead author, first author is in charge of tracking who did what, because corresponding author, it's hard to track who did what. Laying foundation of the project to actually writing of the project are two different spectrum. Some will come in later and finish the project and say, hey, I did everything, but who did the IRB approval? Who wrote the protocol? Who wrote everything? Is just this and usually the PI knows who did what, and you rely on PI to assign fair credit. And sometimes you're just not happy. You just still think it's unjust, but that's part of the trust. Like, if you don't trust your PI and just think PI is evil, you have to, I told you, if you cannot work in that relationship. But anyway, trust. And if you cannot trust, discuss, talk, be transparent in your concern. My personal experience, I'm almost done. This is just my pure personal experience. So at Hopkins, I had a mentor that I did my observership, and I rounded together, and I asked for a recommendation letter, and that person said, no, I don't think you've done enough. And I never got recommendation letter. I worked in this lab for 3 years, and my lab mentor did not write me any recommendation letter. My MD Anderson, I did a huge project with my mentor, and I told my mentor, I want to be like you. That mentor did not write me a recommendation letter. And a lot of cases are something that happened to my mentor. Mentor just disappeared. Sometimes went to jail. Sometimes just disappeared. Um, and so what I'm just telling you, there are frustrating times where you're not going to be able to get support for whatever reason, the reasons that you cannot control. So I put three of my mentors: Dr. Wan Ki-hong, graduate of Yonsei University, and he was the head of the cancer medicine at MD Anderson Cancer Center. He used to always tell me, "Young, you are so unfocused." He's very frank. I asked, like, who will be good mentor? Like, how do I find good mentor? He said, you don't need a mentor. Mentor yourself. That's what he told me. And then he said, I love mentoring because there's no politics. A lot of times I have to bend their arms. I have to give them better package. How much money do I have to give you to make you stay in this institution? How do I have to, what package do you need to recruit you? There's politics, okay? But mentor-mentee relationship, I can only give and give and give and expect nothing in return. So I love this mentor-mentee relationship. And my class loves Dr. Hong because they know that Dr. Hong's genuine heart of he only want to help. So I still remember he said there's no politics in mentoring. So I love it. He really meant he would sit down with us every cohort, 3 cohorts fellowship. He would have breakfast with us every 3 months for 3 years and ask what's going on in your life. Did you have childbirth? Then he sent flowers to my hospital that my childs were born. Children, my 2 children were born in Texas. He has genuine attention and interest in mentoring his mentees. So I want to follow in his footsteps. Dr. Roselle Kardrak, always encouraging. She's always saying, you're doing a fantastic job. And I said, it's an honor to be working with you. And she replies me back right away, texting. And that feeling is mutual. That's what she responds. I just respect her so much. And she does that by scheduling a regular follow-up meeting. She never said, why didn't you do this? Like, you have to finish it this by deadline. She never does that. Only thing she does is let's schedule a next meeting to talk about follow-ups and how, what you've done. So that's her way. Like, it's gentle nudging, and she never blames people. So I love her leadership, and I try my best to learn from the best the mentorship styles that I've experienced. And Dr. Patrick Hugh, he used to be the head of the cancer medicine. He, like, in Dr. Wang Yihong's spot. Now he's the head of the Moffitt Cancer Center. He's great. And he told me, and he didn't have to do this. He called me into his office and he asked me, hey, sit down, Young, and what is your a goal, interest? What do you want to do? And then he said, close your eyes. And he let me and think about yourself in next 10 years, 15 years. What are you doing? Like, he gave me enough time, like 5 minutes, just thinking, closing my eyes in front of him. Like, and I said, I'm putting my patients into clinical trials. So these mentors really helped me not only just do my job better, but make me understand what I love, what I like. So mentor-mentee relationship is not about getting the work done. It's about, igniting your dreams. It's about finding values. Oh, loving patient is so important. Okay, so last slide. I don't think we have time for Q&A. I'm really sorry. I think I put a lot of slides. But maybe we'll have a Q&A session, separately. Maybe we'll do that. I think that's so important. But today, this is a summary slide. The communication golden rules. Treat others as you want to be treated by them. Like, as long as you follow this rule, I think our communication will be faultless, really good. Focus on what you are here for. Focus on your mission. You're here to serve patients. Love your patient. Research is a way to love patient. Genuine and effective communication is a key to success in your mission as well as your life. Let your relationship become not a transaction of work. This is more like a giver and give and take. I give only what I can take model, but a model for true servanthood. You have to be a giver, okay? Before being a good doctor, good researcher, become a good human being. That's what we need to focus. So my personal life motto is to make others succeed. I call it Christ-like model. My personal joy, and I'm talking, expressing it out of my genuine heart, is to help and see my mentees grow and succeed. And I'm not doing this, expecting or demanding anything in return. I do this because this is a mission of my life. To me, having God is enough reward. There's nothing more. So I have no conflict of interest in mentoring you. Okay. And if you have any question, email me, message me through a messenger or Kakao Talk, and I'm happy to talk about this communication, your previous struggles in this topic, and we will have a follow-up session to talk more about the questions that you will have from this session. Okay, but I'm glad I was able to get this message across to you, and I pray that you would all become a effective and genuine communicator for your patients, for your coworkers, colleagues, your mentees, and your mentors. You're all good mentors for any high school students. You know that? So you're not just mentor or mentee, you are in both positions. And how you communicate in different shoes, and knowing that and the nuance of it and the skills, and having that desire to become a effective communicator, that will take you that will make all the difference in your life. Okay. All right. So I gotta go for my next meeting, but thank you for all your participation, and I will set up a follow-up meeting.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Dr. Chae.